When my wife explained everything without holding back, I didn't interrupt or defend myself. I let the silence linger, unaware that it would quietly set off a chain of consequences neither of us could stop once it began. I need you to just listen. Don't say anything. Don't defend yourself. Just let me finish. My wife's voice was steady, but her hands were shaking. I'd never seen her like this before. We'd been married for 6 years, together for 9. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. I was 32, she was 30. We were sitting in our living room on a Tuesday night in October. I've been unhappy for 2 years, she said, looking directly at me. Maybe longer. I can't remember the last time I felt like you actually saw me. I opened my mouth. She held up her hand. You said you'd listen. So I closed my mouth and nodded. The silence in the room felt like it had weight. Every time I try to talk to you about something that matters to me, you give me solutions, she continued. You don't ask questions. You don't sit with me in it. You just want to fix it and move on. She paused, her eyes searching mine. When my mom was sick last year, I needed you to just be there. But you kept telling me what I should do, how I should handle it, what the next steps were. I remembered that time. I thought I was being helpful. When I told you I was struggling at work, you told me to quit or talk to HR. You didn't ask me how I was feeling. You didn't ask what I needed. Her voice cracked slightly, but she steadied herself. When I said I wanted to go back to school, you immediately started talking about the cost and the logistics. You didn't ask me what I wanted to study or why it mattered to me. I felt something tightening in my chest. I feel like I'm living with a consultant, not a husband, she said quietly. And I don't know how to keep doing this. The words hung in the air between us. I wanted to respond. I wanted to tell her she was wrong, but I'd promised to listen. There's something else, she said, and her voice got even quieter. 3 months ago, I met someone. My entire body went cold. Nothing physical happened, she said quickly, but I felt something. We talked for hours. He asked me questions about my life, my dreams, what scared me, and I realized I couldn't remember the last time you asked me any of those things. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I stopped talking to him because I love you, because I meant my vows. But I can't stop thinking about how easy it was to talk to someone who actually listened. I felt like I was watching this happen from outside my body. I don't want to leave you, she said, but I can't keep being invisible in my own marriage. She stood up then. I'm going to stay at my sister's place tonight. I need space. I need you to really think about what I said. She walked past me, grabbed her keys from the counter, and left. The door closed behind her with a soft click. I sat there for what felt like hours. The apartment was completely silent except for the sound of my own breathing. I didn't cry. I didn't move. I just sat there replaying everything she'd said. When my mom was sick last year. When I told you I was struggling at work. When I said I wanted to go back to school. I tried to remember those conversations. All I could remember was trying to help. Trying to make things better. Trying to solve the problems. Had I really not asked her how she felt? I pulled out my phone and stared at it. I wanted to text her. To explain. To defend myself. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the exhaustion in her voice. Maybe it was the fact that she'd asked me to listen and I'd barely managed it for 10 minutes. I put the phone down. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in our bed, on my side, staring at her empty pillow. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I spent the day going through old text messages between us, looking for patterns, looking for proof that she was wrong. But the more I read, the more I saw it. Her. I'm really stressed about the presentation tomorrow. Me. Just practice it a few more times. You'll be fine. Her. I'm worried about Dad's test results. Me. Try not to think about it until you know for sure. Her. I feel like I'm not good at anything anymore. Me. That's not true. You're great at your job. You're amazing. Every response was me trying to fix it. To make it go away. To move forward. I never asked follow-up questions. I never sat in the discomfort with her. I felt sick. On the 3rd day, she texted me. Can we talk? Yes. When? Tonight. I'll come home at 7. I spent the entire day cleaning the apartment, making her favorite dinner, trying to prepare what I would say. She arrived exactly at 7. She looked tired. Hi, she said softly. Hi. We sat down at the kitchen table. She looked at the food I'd made and gave me a small, sad smile. You made chicken parmesan. I know it's your favorite. This is exactly what I'm talking about, she said gently. You're trying to fix this with a meal. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I'm sorry, I said. I don't know what else to do. I know, she said. And that's the problem. We sat in silence for a moment. I've been thinking a lot the past few days, she said. About what I want. About what I need. I braced myself. I don't want a divorce, she said. But I need things to change. Really change. I nodded quickly. I can change. I will change. She held up her hand again. That's another thing. You agree so fast. You don't even ask me what the change looks like. You just want to fix it and move on. I stopped myself from responding. I need you to go to therapy, she said. Individual therapy. Not couples therapy. Not yet. I need you to figure out why you do this. Why you can't just sit with hard emotions. I felt defensive, but I pushed it down. And I need time, she said. I need to stay at my sister's for a while longer. Maybe a month. Maybe 2. 2 months. I said, before I could stop myself. See? You're already trying to negotiate. You're already trying to control the timeline. She was right. I was doing exactly what she said. Okay, I said quietly. Whatever you need. I love you, she said, and her eyes were wet. But love isn't enough if I feel alone in the relationship. She left again that night. I sat at the table with the untouched chicken parmesan and finally let myself cry. The next week, I found a therapist. His name was Dr. Chun. He was in his 50s, with graying hair and a calm demeanor. In our first session, I explained everything. My wife says I don't listen, that I try to fix everything instead of just being present. How does that make you feel, he asked. Like I failed, I said. I thought I was being a good husband. I thought helping her solve problems was what I was supposed to do. Tell me about your parents, he said. I wasn't expecting that question. What about them? How did they handle emotions? I thought about it. They didn't, I said. My dad was always calm, always logical. When something went wrong, he'd make a plan and execute it. My mom was the same way. And when you were upset as a child, what happened? They'd tell me to calm down and think through it rationally. Dr. Chin nodded slowly. So you learned that emotions are problems to be solved, not experiences to be felt. The words hit me hard. I guess so. That's not your fault, he said. That's what you were taught. But your wife is asking you to learn a different way. Over the next few weeks, I saw Dr. Chin twice a week. We talked about my childhood, about how I'd learned to suppress my own emotions because they made my parents uncomfortable, about how I'd carried that into my marriage. When your wife is upset, what do you feel? Dr. Chun asked in one session. Uncomfortable, I admitted. Like I need to make it stop. Because if I can't fix it, then I'm failing her. Or, he said carefully, because sitting with someone else's pain reminds you of your own pain that you've never processed. I didn't have a response to that. During this time, my wife and I texted occasionally. Nothing deep, just checking in. How are you? I'm okay. You? Same. I wanted to tell her about therapy, about what I was learning. But Dr. Chin advised against it. Don't use therapy as a way to win her back, he said. Do it for yourself. If you only do it to save the marriage, you'll fall back into old patterns as soon as things are stable again. A month into her staying at her sister's place, she asked if we could meet for coffee. We met at a small cafe near her office. She looked better, less exhausted. How have you been? She asked. Honestly, it's been hard, I said. But I've been going to therapy. I'm learning a lot about myself. She nodded. I'm glad. How are you? I asked. Better, she said. Having space has helped me think clearly. We talked for an hour. Not about us. Just about life. Her sister's kids. A book she was reading. My new project at work. It felt strange. Like we were strangers getting to know each other. But it also felt necessary. As we were leaving, she touched my arm. I miss you, she said quietly. I miss you too. But I'm not ready yet. I know. She left first. I sat in my car for a long time afterward. Another month passed. Therapy was getting harder. Dr. Chun was pushing me to talk about things I'd buried for years. Tell me about a time you felt truly sad as a child, he said in one session. I don't know. I had a pretty normal childhood. Everyone has felt sad, he said. Think harder. I sat with the question. I was 10, I said finally. My best friend moved away, to a different state. I was devastated. What did you do? I cried in my room. And what happened? My dad came in. He told me that life moves on, that I'd make new friends, that there was no point dwelling on it. How did that make you feel? Like my feelings didn't matter, I said, and I was surprised by the emotion in my voice. Like I wasn't allowed to be sad. And you've carried that with you, Dr. Chun said gently. Every time your wife is sad, you hear your father's voice telling you to fix it and move on. I broke down crying in his office that day. It was the first time I'd really let myself feel grief for that 10-year-old kid. That weekend, my wife called me. Can you come over to my sister's place? I want to talk. My heart was pounding. Of course. I drove to her sister's apartment. She met me at the door. Her sister wasn't home. We sat on the couch in the living room. I've been thinking a lot, she said. About us. About what I want. I waited. I want to try again, she said. But I need you to understand that it's going to be different. Different how? I need you to keep going to therapy. Not just for a few months. Ongoing. I will. And I need us to go to couples therapy too. Okay. And I need you to actually practice this. Not just say you will. I need to see the change. What does that look like? I asked. She seemed surprised by the question. That's the first time you've asked me that. I'm trying, I said. It looks like you asking me how I'm feeling without immediately offering advice. It looks like you sitting with me when I'm upset without trying to make it better. It looks like you being vulnerable with me about your own feelings. That's scary, I said honestly. I know, she said. But that's what intimacy is. It's not just the good stuff. It's the messy, uncomfortable stuff too. We agreed to start couples therapy. We agreed that she'd move back home, but we'd sleep in separate rooms for now. We agreed to date each other again. To rebuild from the ground up. The first few weeks were awkward. We were living together, but felt like roommates. In couples therapy, our therapist, Dr. Patel, gave us exercises. This week, I want you each to share one vulnerable thing with each other. Not a complaint. Not a criticism. Something that makes you feel exposed. That night, we sat on the couch together. Do you want to go first? I asked. She nodded. I'm scared that I'm not enough for you, she said quietly. That one day you'll wake up and realize you settled. I felt a rush of emotion. Can I respond? I asked. Yes. I've never felt that way. Not once. But I'm sorry I never told you that. I'm sorry I made you feel that way. She squeezed my hand. Your turn, she said. I took a deep breath. I'm scared that I'm broken, I said. That I'm so damaged from my childhood that I'll never be able to give you what you need. Her eyes filled with tears. You're not broken, she said. You're learning. We're both learning. Over the next few months, things slowly got better. There were setbacks, times when I fell back into old patterns. One night, she was upset about a conflict with her boss. My first instinct was to tell her what to do, but I caught myself. That sounds really frustrating, I said instead. How are you feeling about it? She looked at me, surprised. Angry, she said, and helpless. That makes sense, I said. We sat together in silence for a few minutes. Thank you, she said finally. For what? For just listening. It felt like a small victory, but it was hard. Every time I stopped myself from fixing, I felt anxious, like I was failing her by not having the answer. Dr. Chen helped me understand that was the old programming. You're not failing her by listening, he said. You're finally succeeding at being present. 6 months after that first conversation where she laid everything out, we went away for a weekend. Just the two of us. To a cabin in the mountains. No phones. No distractions. On the first night, we sat on the porch looking at the stars. I'm proud of you, she said. For what? For doing the work. For actually changing. I know it's not easy. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, I said honestly. But it's worth it. Can I tell you something? She said. Always. I almost left you that night. When I went to my sister's place. I had convinced myself that we were done. My chest tightened. What changed? You didn't chase me, she said. You didn't blow up my phone. You didn't try to fix it immediately. You gave me space. And that told me maybe you were actually listening. I wanted to text you every hour, I admitted. I know. But you didn't. And that mattered. We sat in comfortable silence for a while. Do you remember that guy I mentioned? She asked quietly. The one I had feelings for? Yes. I saw him last month. At a conference. My stomach dropped. What happened? We talked for about 5 minutes. Polite, professional stuff. And I realized I didn't feel anything. Because what I wanted wasn't him. It was someone who would listen to me. And now I have that. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I have you. That weekend, we made the decision to try sharing a bedroom again. It felt like a new beginning. When we got home, I had a session with Dr. Chen. How was the trip? He asked. Good. Really good. We decided to share a room again. How do you feel about that? Hopeful, I said. But also scared. What if I mess it up again? You will mess up, he said matter-of-factly. You're human. The difference now is that you have tools. You know what your patterns are. You can catch yourself. What if the tools don't work? Then you repair, he said. Marriage isn't about never hurting each other. It's about how you handle it when you do. A year after that first conversation, we were having dinner at home. She was telling me about a problem at work. Halfway through, she stopped. What? I asked. You're doing it again, she said. My heart sank. Doing what? I can see the wheels turning in your head. You're coming up with solutions instead of just listening. She was right. I'm sorry, I said. Can you start over? I want to hear you. She smiled. That's all I needed. Thank you. We still go to therapy, both individual and couples. Probably always will. Some weeks are harder than others. But we're building something different now. Something more honest. Something that feels sustainable. Last month, she brought up going back to school again. My first instinct was to talk about cost and logistics. But I stopped myself. Tell me more about that, I said instead. What would you want to study? Her face lit up. I've been thinking about art therapy. I know it sounds impractical, but I think I'd be good at it. Why art therapy? Because I've realized how much I've been disconnected from my own emotions. Art has helped me process things. I want to help other people do that too. That sounds amazing, I said. You don't think it's impractical? I think it's what makes you come alive. And that's the most practical thing there is. She got tears in her eyes. I love you, she said. I love you too. Looking back now, I realized that night she explained everything was the best thing that could have happened to us. Not because it felt good. It didn't. It felt like dying. But because it forced me to look at myself. To see the ways I'd been hurting her without even realizing it. To understand that being a good partner isn't about fixing everything. It's about being present. About asking questions. About sitting in the discomfort. The silence I let linger that night set off a chain reaction. Her leaving. Me starting therapy. Both of us rebuilding from scratch. If I'd defended myself that night, if I'd argued or explained or tried to fix it immediately, we wouldn't be here now. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is shut up and listen, even when it feels like dying, even when every instinct tells you to make it better. Sometimes you have to let it hurt, let it break, so it can heal properly. We still have hard days. Days where I catch myself slipping into old patterns. Days where she gets frustrated with my progress. But we're in it together now. Really together. Not just two people living parallel lives, but two people actually seeing each other. And that makes all the difference.